Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the April 4th, 2024 Public Works meeting. The time is 8 a.m. and we will go ahead and get started. First, now that we've called to order, it's just a matter of roll call. I am joined by Councilmember Angela Jefferson. I'm Councilmember Michael Althauser. Councilmember Eileen Swarthout is excused, so I will be filling in and helping us run through the agenda in her stead. Our first quick little order of business is just approval of the meeting minutes from the March 7th meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
And I will second. Motion by Councilmember Jefferson and seconded by myself. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion passes unanimously. So that brings us to our substantive agenda. And the first order of business is the MOU between the City of Tumwater and the Lot Clean Water Alliance regarding a purchase and sale agreement for properties in the Deschutes Valley. We're looking at amendment number 1 to that MOU. Dan, I think you're going to help us walk through that this morning.
We will, and I'll keep it quick this morning. And I'll leave the fancy presentation for Grant, who is going to give you a nice update on our education outreach program. This is a fairly straightforward amendment. As you know, the city is considering acquisition of some properties down there in the lot or in the Deschutes Valley. The timeline is very quick, and we are working with SCJ consultants on a feasibility review, looking at a variety of topics down there. The original MOU with Lot had anticipated a decision by March 31st. Obviously, it is April 4th, and we haven't even brought that forth to the City Council for their consideration. SCJ was brought online in January, so they had a very quick turnaround for their work. The contract was approved in November of 23. So in the contract, we acquire the consultant to do the work, to develop the scope, negotiate their agreement. Obviously, it took a little bit of time. I will say that SCJ has completed their work. I expect the final draft of their report probably today, later today or tomorrow. Once we have an opportunity to review that report internally, we'll bring the results of of their work to council for your consideration and making a recommendation to acquire or not those properties. So this amendment extends that timeline just by 2 months as far as turning around the decision for Lot. So from March 31st to May 31st. Lot has extended their agreement period, and that's really just due to board schedules and looking into the summer where there's recess for their board. So they extended theirs from 60 to 90 days just to make sure that they had an opportunity to communicate all that needed to be communicated. And then finally, it moves a purchase and sale agreement decision out from June 30th to December 31st. Again, giving some flexibility for some of the negotiations that will have to take place with Lot, should the city decide to move forward and acquire the properties. There's also a number of elements that we've identified through this initial work with SCJ that might require additional conversations and negotiations with parties outside of Lot, should the city decide to move forward, such as the railroad and negotiating some of the easements across the tracks, things like that too. So through this process, we've identified a number of considerable items for consideration by the city. We'll be bringing those forward over the next month to council for your consideration and discussion. And then dependent upon that action, we'll move things forward. So recommendation this morning for you all is really to place the amendment for the purchase and sale agreement properties amendment number 1 on the April 16th 24 council consent calendar with a recommendation for the mayor to sign, or recommendation for the council to approve, the mayor to sign. So with that, I'll answer any questions you might have.
Angela, did you have any questions about the MOU? Okay. So Dan, Lot has already agreed, or these months work for Lot. I guess that's my only question. Well, I guess I have 2 questions, but that's my first one.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're good.
Okay. And we're not looking at the agreement, we're not adjusting funding for anything. It's just timelines.
Exactly. This is just a time commitment only. Once we discuss and negotiate with law, should we decide to move forward, there will be a conversation around acquisition costs and things like that.
Great. So Angela, I don't have any issue with this going on the consent calendar. We're just changing timelines. There's no fiscal impact. Does that sound okay to you as well?
Yes.
Before we do a motion? Okay.
Yes.
So with that, then I would entertain a motion to place the memorandum of understanding between the city and Lot regarding a purchase and sale agreement for properties in the Deschutes Valley, Amendment Number 1, on the April 16th, 2024 City Council consent agenda, with a recommendation approve and authorize the mayor to sign.
I move that we do that.
And I will second. So there's a motion by Councilmember Jefferson and seconded by myself. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion passes unanimously. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. So our next item is the 2024 Regional Environmental Education Partnership and Water Resources and Sustainability Outreach Update. I think Grant, you're gonna help us work through this one.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm going to share my screen, so let me know once you can see what I have up here. And let me go to presentation mode.
We can see, but we also see your slides on the left, so I don't know if it's in presentation mode yet. There we go. That looks
Okay,
good.
Yeah, there's a little bit of lag. So, but thanks for having me this morning. I really appreciate the opportunity to share some of the work we've been doing here at the city with respect to outreach and education. Just to kind of set the stage, this is what you're going to see today is just a snapshot of a much larger body of work that comes out of the Water Resources and Sustainability Department. But what I'm going to share today is I think quite a significant piece and a very special piece based on my experience with the city and the time I've had in. I'm coming up on 2 years now working within these programs, and I've been personally just absolutely amazed with the people within our community as well as our regional partners that we get a chance to work with on these initiatives. Just really quick before I jump off this slide, the photos you see here, the first one on the left is a photo of community members from all around us, Lacey, Olympia, Tumwater, and Thurston County attending the Marine Creature Mondays event that occurs in the summer months. I'll talk a little bit more about that. Of course, some of our tabletop materials we hand out, we're using QR codes and a host of other technologies to increase accessibility. And then, of course, this picture to the right is a photograph of myself with a dedicated team of folks from the 17th Battalion up at Joint Base Lewis, assisting with the restoration effort at Sap Road Park. So just to kind of reiterate, what is the Regional Environmental Education Partnership and why was it formed? Well, it was basically to provide a mechanism through which the partners, Olympia, Lacey, Tumwater, and Thurston County, collaborate in the development, implementation, and funding of stormwater education and outreach messages, materials, activities, and program assessment tools for the public, businesses, and other target audiences as required by the NPDES permit, which is the non-point discharge elimination system permit, and other stormwater needs. So mouthful on that one. The way the partnership is broken out is based on population. And you'll see here, these are 2018 numbers. So there's been a slight modification to this, as the years have progressed, but it's not far off. The city of Tumwater is roughly 12% with respect to the partnership as to our allocation, and our allocations are based on population size. So obviously Thurston County has the heaviest lift, so they've dedicated a couple staff members. I think they have 2.5 FTE dedicated to the program. We're roughly 0.3 FTE, and then some budget allocation dollars, which I'll show next. City of Olympia is at 26%. They have roughly 2 FTE applied to this, as well as, and Lacey has 1. Actually, Lacey is, I think, sitting at half an FTE. So the budget allocation, it rolls out in a similar way. It's we're 12% of the total approved budget. So the maximum annual cost is in the existing interagency agreement is at 90,000. The agreement maximum, which is at 540. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think we bumped the dollars up just a little bit to address inflation now that we're in 2024. So again, these numbers reflect 2018 numbers, which came out of the original ILA agreement. So, basically, again, the Regional Environmental Education Partnership was really developed to support the NPDES permit, section S5C2, which states the requirements for education and outreach. Those delivery methods, they vary, but they fall into these 5 buckets. We've got public education, which includes classes, workshops, and community engagement opportunities. Youth education, which includes school presentations, field science trips, field education trips, pet waste reduction. We've got a fairly robust pet waste pickup education outreach program, which is incredibly important for this region, given that our proximity to Puget Sound and all of the bodies of water that feed into it. We've got our business outreach program, and then of course all the outreach and events and hands-on science events that we attend as individuals as we interface with community members. So on that note, the other really large component of the Regional Environmental Education Partnership is the delivery of messaging through Stream Team, as well as the hands-on science events that are branded and delivered through Stream Team. Stream Team's been around for roughly 35 plus years now, so it's got a very strong brand awareness. A lot of community members that have grown up and remain in our communities served as Stream Team members, volunteers, or attended events. So it's very often when we're at events or we're giving workshops, we see multi-generational community members coming back over and over. And these are the folks that are really taking the initiative to become stewards of our local environment. And so the amount of hours, and we'll go over that our community members are putting in towards Stream Team events, the volunteer opportunities, really is absolutely amazing. So kind of touching on a little bit of the numbers, these numbers are from this 2023 year. We did a total of 41 events with 1,644 participants for the workshop, trainings, and lectures. Now, I want to just kind of preface this and stress that these numbers were coming out of the pandemic years. So we had a heavy lift as leads for the Regional Environmental Partnership, because basically we had to restart and revamp every program because we basically had a lag in those couple of years where people were not interacting a whole lot. So a lot of work got done in 2023. Nature Sleuths was one of those programs that people during the pandemic were able to continue to participate in. So the creep up in numbers was marginal, but we did see an increase in Nature Sleuths. I think one of the reasons why we saw such a heavy participation in the workshops and trainings and lecture events is because people wanted to come back out and engage with community and just basically get out of their homes, and start participating. And we see that continuing on into 2024, which is really exciting. Facebook, our Facebook followers increased significantly. Our page views, all of our numbers are way up, which is surprising because I would have thought that would have decreased with people getting out more. But really, we've been posting a lot. So we had 278 average posts. We're on Instagram. We had 199 average posts with over 1,000 page views. YouTube, YouTube's really impressive. We've got 149,000 total videos views, 229 subscribers, and we continue to see those numbers creep up every month. So we're really working on getting more of our content into video format. That's a big push for this year, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And then, of course, website and monthly emails. We're just constantly putting messaging out with respect to stormwater pollution, engagement opportunities, and all the things that our community members can do to help with water quality issues that we deal with here. The photo to the right is just a screenshot of the website. Definitely encourage, if you haven't been to it lately, please check it out. There's a lot of new content. We've posted a ton of new events that are coming up this year, so definitely encourage folks to see what's going on and what those educational opportunities look like. Again, Stream Team newsletter is distributed in hard copy as well as through PDF version via the website. We did it on top of all of this, the ramp up on the programs coming out of the pandemic. We also completely redesigned the Stream Team newsletter to take the look of more of a scientific journal while still keeping it basically catering it to all demographics, all age demographics. So we've got content in there for kids all the way up to, those community members that are a little bit more engaged, I'd say educated in technical scientific terminology. So we really do try to cater to all audiences. So there's something there for everybody. The feedback on this latest iteration, which you're seeing the last 5 versions here, has been overwhelmingly positive. People are really enjoying it. We've just received a ton of great feedback. All in all, I think, let's see, 2,500 copies went out last year, and I have those numbers here. So yeah, Tumwater distribute a total of 2,130 copies, and then you'll see what the other jurisdictions, oh, I'm sorry. Actually, those are totals for each quarter via all of the jurisdictions. What you'll notice is that Tumwater has a pretty high distribution rate compared to the others. And the reasoning for that is because we have established a very close relationship with the school district. And so there are multiple programs that I engage with through through the school district via the Career and Technical Education Department. And via the teachers that interact with that department to connect students to careers in the sciences. So,
Grant, I have a question for you.
yes.
And that's with the school districts. How are you working with the colleges, with those college students?
Yeah, thanks for asking. Yeah, so basically, right now, last year especially, I also teach at the University of Washington. I teach wetland science and management. And so what we're starting to do is work on that integration where we get students and college students integrating within the environment. We have a couple sites around the city that we're focused on. This is a growing program that we're building out. And then, of course, I know that, and I'll touch a little bit on this on the last slide, but basically to kind of give you a little bit of a highlight, because we're moving to the South Puget Sound Community College campus, we're actually going to have representation of what the pathway looks like from middle school to high school to community college and then into a 4-year degree. So that's something that I've been nuancing as I've been working in this position, and we're going to really start to see that develop in the coming years. So the goal is to showcase careers in the engineering and sciences for students as far back as middle school. And then to connect high school students to college students and college students, as well as high school students, to professionals in these industries. And I'll touch on that here a little more.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Thank you for your question. I'm excited about. That's a big part of this work that I'm very, very excited about. So I'm going to try and get through these numbers fairly quickly so I don't overwhelm you. But basically, we have a host of stewardship opportunities. And those stewardship opportunities are more hands-on science focused. So this is where individuals really get a chance to get into the science behind water quality sampling, behind benthic sampling. Benthics are those little bugs that live in the streams. They all determine stream health, water quality health. And those are big factors in how we look at and manage our water resources across the city, as well as regionally. So, as you know, water doesn't have boundaries. Like us humans, we put boundaries on everything, but water doesn't care. It basically flows over everything, and it's under us, and it's over us, and it's all around us. So we as practitioners in the water resources world really have to think about our watersheds, our subbasins. And so when we bring this type of workshop and stewardship opportunity to the community, those are the points that we are really driving home to folks. So no matter where they go, whether they're in our community or they're outside of our community, they are thinking about their actions and how they impact waterways and how they should basically convey best practice and what you should and shouldn't do to their family members and their friends. So the goal is to have a ripple effect, so that people really do mind their environment and take care of their community. So we accomplish that through these workshops. We've got a whole host of different types. We've got amphibian egg mass surveys. We've got macroinvertebrate sampling opportunities. Marine Creature Mondays, which is a kind of a lecture series on our marine creatures in Butt Inlet. Oyster seed planting events, salmon steward docent opportunities, and a whole host of others. And I think we've got a question. Michael, what you got?
Yeah, thanks. So sorry to interrupt. For some of these activities, they're great. I'm kind of wondering or thinking out loud, I guess, about the work we're doing to replace a couple of culverts and the positive impact that that's going to have on river life, salmon, or probably other amphibians and other invertebrates in the streams. Is there like a way to integrate some of the programs for observing like the positive impact that work is going to have too, whether that's salmon being able to get further upstream or what have you? Are we planning on potentially being able to try to observe that and integrate that into any of these projects?
Yeah, great question. Absolutely. So the city of Tumwater, we're very lucky because we have a direct connection to Capitol Lake Butt Inlet via Percival Creek, Fish Pond Creek, as well as another trib off to, I'm sorry, it's, and I'm not a fan of this word, but it's the, Dan, maybe you can help me. It's our Swamp Creek. I'm sorry, the word swamp in my brain is not the word that resonates with me because I'm a wetland biologist. They're really wetlands to me, not swamps. But anyway, we've got this.
I was just talking about that. That is just it's a community-based name, really. It's what like kind of the folks in the neighborhood refer to it as. It's an unnamed tributary, but it is one that we see that goes under Tumwater Boulevard, the tributary that comes off that lake behind 73rd, and then kind of flows into the Deschutes, through the golf course and back through that general area. So yeah, we would love to have a different name for those kinds of things, but we get what we get.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate that. But great question, Michael. And really to kind of get right to it, Percival Creek has a TMDL on it. That's total maximum daily load. It's associated with the Butt Inlet TMDL. The amazing thing about Percival Creek is that it's not a long enough span for us to be overwhelmed with. We really have an opportunity to see what urban development, how that influences and plays on a system of that magnitude. And we have multiple opportunities because the city owns properties along that stretch, where Sap Road Park being one of them, is a site where a fish passage project is actually being implemented. And we have a proposed restoration effort. I'm already doing a lot of education and outreach there. And that fish passage project that's going to pretty much hit the ground, I think, next year, is going to get integrated into a whole educational series for middle school, high school, and for graduate students or college students to do research on. Basically, what's happening now, and this kind of plays on Angela's question earlier. I actually have 6 UW students doing research on that site right now, as it pertains to wetland restoration, fish habitat, benthics, beaver habitat, and how all of that plays into the health of our water systems, because they all play a role. And also, just as a little caveat, when you bring beavers into the conversation, we also look at beavers lowering specific types of costs with association with water quality, filtering out pollutants based on just the environments that they create. So all of this work is leading to building more and more educational materials that can be utilized in the classroom for students, as well as hosting workshops for community members that are just interested in these topics.
Grant, not to interrupt, but this is exciting to me. So my question is, our marketing plan, how are we notifying the community, especially since our climate emergency was declared? There's new energy. So is our communication team working on just, how are we going to make this happen? That's what I'd like to know. This is great, but the community don't know this.
Yeah, I think, Angela, that's a great question. I think, we are, one of the reasons why we are moving to using our technology more is so that we can broadcast to a wider audience. So, I'll take you kind of back to Stream Team. Last year, I did a 4-part series on beaver management in the urban landscape. It got a lot of attention. So we had a lot of community members reading the Stream Team newsletters and so forth, but that's not enough.
That's not enough.
Really, I think what we're going to start ramping up doing, and the lead representatives of REAP via Stream Team, we're actually talking now more about putting out more videos into the YouTube verse, as well as Instagram posts, because really that's how people are interacting with information. So it's coming. While we're building our educational materials, we're also looking at those mechanisms to deliver more and more content to the community. So,
and more. Right. And may I suggest Experience Olympia and Beyond? We have a website where when we have volunteer events, we can, because people want to come to the community to do those volunteer events. So just advertise the dates and the times for everyone in the community to come out and learn more.
That's great. I will definitely look into that one and see. I think, we could use all the help we can get with broadcasting. And I think as we develop content, it's really there for everybody to use. So the more engagement we can get, the better. And then obviously as our department moves into South Puget Sound Community College and we get an opportunity to develop these internship opportunities, our capacity will increase, which means we can hopefully host more events and more people and so forth to get them engaged.
Excellent. Thanks, Grant.
So I'll keep moving because I don't know how my time is. Just to kind of touch on hands-on science participation, last year we had 851 participants basically getting involved in hands-on science events. We had 23 total events, and they include anything from implementing the egg mass ID field training to backyard habitat, climate conversations. We had multiple Earth Day events across the region, and so forth. So, this presentation will be up we also do have an annual report that we developed last year that quantifies all these numbers. So we can make that available to everybody. This is the education and event participant numbers, and you'll see it's actually amazing how many people we actually had attend and participate in our events, over 3,000. So you know, the numbers just were amazing, and we were busy. We did a lot of talking and a lot of demonstrations and a lot of hands-on activities with folks, and my voice was gone quite often. So along with the education and outreach opportunities, we also incentivize. And so when we go to these events, we have a host of basically, you know, I don't want to call them tchotchkes, but like bags on boards, which are the pet waste bags that we give out to pet owners. We offer pet waste stations to HOAs and other neighborhoods that have organized themselves. We work with Puget Sound Starts Here, which is basically a whole Western regional partnership where we leverage materials and work that comes out of that group. We give car wash tickets away to promote people washing their cars at the car washes instead of in their driveways. We've got educational materials now for both landscape companies, construction companies that are in multilingual translations, and those particular educational materials are focused on stormwater BMPs, best management practices, and we're actually talking now to see how effective those have been. I'm going to be working with our stormwater inspector to really see, are people really using these in the field? If not, who do we give them to where they'll get utilized? And that's something I just want to kind of add on, is that we don't just do things to do them. We implement, and then we assess, and then we see, okay, what's working and what isn't. We don't just churn stuff out to churn stuff out. Everything is done methodically. We're scientists at heart, so we're interested in the numbers. We want to make sure that what we're doing counts. And all of the information and the incentives that we put out have proven to be effective. So we'll keep putting those things out that do work. For kids, they love the stickers, the pencils, the things they can engage with, and they can stick on their water bottles, you know, that send the messaging and so forth. This is a piece.
Can you go back a slide? So this is sort of a random I did Stream Team when I was in elementary and middle school.
Awesome.
At Lakes Elementary and at Camachin Middle School. And I don't know what it is about the brand of Stream Team, but I have never forgotten that name. Maybe just because of the rhyme or the sort of casual alliteration or something. But that was, you know, looking back on it, was just one of the more formative environmental awareness socialization events of my childhood. Was when we did water quality testing, and in 4th grade we hatched salmon eggs in the classroom and then got to release the salmon. It was just an incredible opportunity and was just a remarkable educational opportunity. And I remember when I was in an environmental science class in undergrad, we were sort of sharing like when we became aware of our presence in the natural environment and our impact on it. And that was the moment I shared with the class, and a lot of classmates remarked on how much of an incredible opportunity that was as like a young person learning about the environment and natural resources and how we fit into the big picture of things. So like the Stream Team, I think I just have the utmost respect and appreciation for all that work, because we are building the next generation of stewards and environmentalists through that work. So it's really incredible stuff. Sorry to interrupt you.
I really appreciate it, Michael. And actually, that's a perfect segue into kind of where we're going next as I kind of get closer. So, you know, really your sentiment and your experience with Stream Team, I think, as I alluded to in the very beginning, is carried with a lot of folks in this community and this region. And so, but we can always do better at getting into more people's homes, getting to more kids so that they can interact with these experiences. And so one of the things I've really been focused on, which really kicked off in high gear last year, was really the capacity building component. And, you know, coming into the regional environmental education program, we've had a fairly recent turnover, and I'll tell you right now, the folks that are representing REAP and Stream Team are amazing. I feel blessed to work with them. They're incredible people. They're very good at what they do, and we all are in sync. The team, this regional cohort is special in its own right because we're one of the few kind of regional efforts that work cohesively as a team, like we were basically working for one jurisdiction. I mean, it's really that amazing how strong our work bond is. On that note, I've really been on the end of pushing capacity building within REAP as well as within our department. And so these are some of the folks that we are working with right now. And we continue to build on those partnerships, bringing new partnerships in, especially in 2024. But South Sound Green, our work with South Sound Green has been recalibrated, refocused. They did not have a very strong influence with the city in past years. Now they are incredibly well aligned with our efforts with the school district and with opportunities. So South Sound Green's engaging a lot more with our community members. Same with Pacific Shellfish Institute. These were two organizations that basically were having problems connecting with the school district and getting into the school district. That's no longer an issue. Now there's more opportunities than they have capacity to deliver in, and that's what I was hoping for. We started a new relationship with the Estuarium, which is based out of Olympia. They have a marine program. Stream Team has Marine Creature Mondays. What we've done now is we have integrated both our programs together, building greater capacity, getting the word out to more people. And it's those kinds of things. University of Washington is my affiliation as a professor there. Building on that, I have multiple students doing research across our natural resource areas within the city of Tumwater. This summer, there will be a lot more opportunity to learn more about that research. I'll be putting that out to the public so that they can see what's being done. Tumwater School District, of course, really close relationship, and I'm moving into the next section here, but basically everything has been ramped up with respect to partnerships and building capacity.
Okay.
A big part of that is basically building a network of industry professionals that work in the natural resource sciences and engineering fields to start to participate in what I'm going to move into next. And that is this Tumwater School District collaborative effort to build career pathway programs for students. This is kind of spurring on a new thing, I think, at the city, especially where we're doing more interdepartmental collaboration to team up to help students learn more about the jobs that exist within in government, as well as state agency type work. So what we developed last year was a forest and stream ecology program, 180-hour accredited program over 5 weeks. These students are immersed in the world of the natural sciences and engineering fields, and they are paired literally every day with an industry expert, and they get on field trips and so forth. We also developed the One Water Summer program for middle school students. That was a 1-week summer camp for middle school students to go and basically do a whole host of water quality sampling, benthic sampling, learn about the watershed, how water basically moves through a watershed. And then First Green was delivered by the Parks Department. We teamed up with them to deliver the water resources component to talk about how reclaimed water is used at the golf course. And then, of course, how contaminants could potentially play an effect on the Deschutes River and other water bodies in the area. And I'll tell you, Eric and the Parks Department, they are doing an amazing job with their efforts to implement best practices when it comes to protecting natural resources. And now that we're engaged with them on this level, we're starting to see a lot more participation among the departments on these types of topics. So it's really a win-win for everybody, from students to industry professionals. It just kind of brings us all together. So it's a special thing. Online access is increasing, as I had mentioned earlier. We're redoing Nature Sleuths, updating those programs. We're tying more of a stormwater pollution message to the content that lives in Nature Sleuths. We found that there was a little bit of a lacking there. So this year we're focused on really ramping up that stormwater pollution messaging. And then, of course, these other programs you can find through the Stream Team website. They're robust. They've been well developed, and they're all online now. I'm currently working on a Stream Team salmon steward training, refining that to Thinkific, so you can actually get like a certificate, and we can increase access for
Excellent.
students. Yeah, across the county, because what we found is that it's easy for students in Tumwater, Lacey, and Olympia to get into these programs, but Thurston County, those more rural communities, they don't really have the best access. So
Mhm.
we're looking at that as well, trying to just increase access for everybody. As I had mentioned, the careers and technical training is a huge focus for us now. We are the school district's premier partner in this. For the forest and ecology program that was delivered last year, it was touted as one of the nation's top CTE programs, came out of Tumwater. I mean, the alignment in this partnership is so strong. Everybody's ecstatic that the stars aligned for us, basically. And what happened is because of that, folks across our industries, Port Blakely, Weyerhaeuser, Fish and Wildlife, DNR, all came out to support these students and provide facilities for them to go to and learn about these trades and how significant an impact they are on our communities, not only from a natural resources standpoint, but from an economic development standpoint, because these are good, high-paying jobs. Some of them don't even require a college degree. You can get right in as an intern, and you can make really good money right out of the gate as a high school graduate. So we really wanted to stress that for these students, that you don't have to go get a 4-year degree to make a good living. And a lot of the industry experts that we interfaced with actually started out as interns in some of these companies. So I think even several of our Tumwater students ended up engaging and pursuing internship opportunities. So really powerful relationship there. There's in this presentation, there's a video. I'll skip it and let you watch it on your own, because I think there's a lag in this presentation, but I took some clips and created a slide so you can see some of the interactions students are having with industry experts. These few snapshots came out of the Forest and Restoration program from last summer. Students learned how to they learned all the nuances and ins and outs of forest management and the forestry industry, as well as restoration and ecological practices that are implemented to address impacts, or to just basically, create a more sustainable environment for all of us. It's a wonderful video. It's only 2.5 minutes, so if you get a chance, please check it out. The next one is the first green video, and I'll skip that one as well, I think because of the lag. But basically, this is on YouTube. The link is here. It really showcases the focus on math. And then, it also, in the video, it shows me basically teaching the students about groundwater movement and watershed dynamics via a model that we have in-house. It's a groundwater model. The students absolutely love it, because I can simulate what a contaminant plume underground looks like and how it moves via groundwater through a system. And man, they were captivated. They just absolutely loved to see, the impacts of when we dump pollutants into the environment, where they go, and what that means for us. So it was a big aha moment for a lot of students to showcase that through that type of demonstration. So in 2024, building on the momentum, that's the key here. We really laid the groundwork in 2023. 2024, now we're assessing our performance in 2023. We've already gone through a very, very robust exercise as a partnership group to see what worked, what didn't work. And now we have our 2024 work plan, which we're implementing. There's going to be a new addition to the career and technical education piece, which is a water resource management program. That's going to be very similar to the forest and stream ecology program. So basically, I teamed up with LOT to see if they wanted to partner with the school district, OSPI, and PEI to develop this 180-hour accredited program. So students really start to learn about water resource management. This is a growing field. It's something that is, while you would think it's been around for a while, it actually hasn't. We don't classify water resource management as a career pathway. It's more nuanced to the engineering and sciences. But what you're seeing now with the stressors from climate change and just basically all these different climatic changes is that water resource management is becoming a top focus for governments, countries, local jurisdictions, everybody across the globe. So you're seeing a reclassification in what jobs are called in the water resource management world. And we, by developing this program, are at the cutting edge of infusing this into the educational system. So very, very excited about developing that. It's currently in review at OSPI right now for the accreditation component. But no matter what, the school district has committed to launching this program this summer. So, and you know, the city is going to be front and center on this piece, and as well as LOT. So wonderful partnership. Forest and stream ecology was such a big hit. They refunded it. That's moving forward. We'll ramp up on the groundwater model demonstrations. As I said, those were a big aha moment for folks. We continue to refine the online training opportunities through the platform Thinkific. We're increasing our stewardship and volunteer restoration opportunities. I just recently started a second Saturday restoration event. What I found from last year is after every event, people are like, when's the next one? When's the next one? You know? And I was like, you know, I don't know. So basically moving into this year, I'm like, you know what, let's just do something every second Saturday of every month. And then that way people just know that they can sign up and come out, and there's always going to be something there for them to participate in. And then of course the salmon steward training, as it moves online through Thinkific, the science teachers are looking to integrate the salmon steward training into their educational curriculum. And the goal there is to get younger salmon descents so that when the salmon are running, it's not just the older descents that are giving the tours, it's actually younger high school students, and maybe even for those really kind of advanced middle students, you know, if they want to participate on that level. So there's a lot more going on, but I think I've given you probably enough today to chew on. You know, this is just part of my work. But I think everything that I do within the Water Resources and Sustainability Department, whether it's working with Dave on stormwater initiatives, or Carrie on water conservation initiatives, or Alyssa on sustainability initiatives, all of that can be translated to our community and put in the classroom. So my brain is always thinking about how can we integrate this and translate this and transfer it into that learning environment. And I know the rest of our team is thinking that way as well. So on that note, I'll end it.
Great. Thanks for that excellent presentation. It's really great to hear about progress on all these fronts and what we're doing for outreach and education. Like this is really exciting stuff. Angela, do you have any other questions or thoughts to?
Yes, just a comment on leadership and the city of Tumwater. And if you look at our logo, we have water in it. Because water was our founding, our past, our present, and it's our future also. So I commend you and Dan and your team for just leading the way on this. This is Tumwater, so we should be leading the way. And I thank you, Grant. What a wonderful presentation. And again, you know, a great marketing plan so we can be excited about this and let the community know. And I like what you said about every second Wednesday?
Every
but
second Saturday.
every second Saturday. That's a good start. So it's on the calendar, and we always know, okay, we're going to have something to do with the environment. So I love this. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, great. And this is a informational item, so there's no council action or anything. But again, thank you, Grant, for the great presentation. We
My
certainly
pleasure. Thanks
appreciate
for
it.
having me.
And well said, Angela, as well, with your comments. I think that brings us to the end of our agenda. We're 10 minutes ahead of schedule. Unless there's anything else, I believe we are now adjourned. Thanks, everyone, and have a wonderful Thursday.
Thanks, take care.